All right, guys, we are back with another episode of The Process with
Mr. Jeremy
and Mr. David, where we try to just kind of take a moment, give you guys the behind the scenes look at the process of pulling together this organization. Today's episode is actually a continuation of a conversation we were all already having, where we really got a chance to dive deeper into this idea of intention. And if you guys haven't checked that out, I definitely think that you should give that a listen. And really in that conversation, we talked a lot about like how we're right now setting the intention for the organization, and why that's so important. I wanted this to kind of be a working conversation between you and I, with this podcast, because it's so new, and it's like if we're going to commit to continue to do it. I think, have we really set the intention for what the process is? Since that's something that we're doing with our classes and our concerts and the company and the teaching, and it's like everything that we do needs to have its own pretty much mission and vision. And what do we want people to get from this? Like, and instead of just writing up a copy and giving it to you, I'm like, hey, this is our thing, and I want to know what you think.
Yeah, the process. I mean, to me, I think it was a good idea to kind of just talk behind the scenes about things that are going on, and to show, to talk about and to show like through the journey to some of our shows, the things that the ups and downs, which are, a lot of them that happen. Just I wouldn't say like venting, but definitely like, verbalizing, but also, sharing like with the community or whoever watches, they can listen on like what's going on, and like, some of the students might have had a really good class, or someone might have came to a really good show. But yeah, I feel like it's a good idea to kind of open up and say like, hey, this is something that's happening behind the scenes, like, and this is what it takes. This is all that what goes into what you see, like the final product. This is what kind of the day-to-day looks like. This is kind of like, the goal and the vision, and like it's kind of holding us accountable, and to stay on track, and to put it out there and being intentional about that. That's how I feel about it.
I like that. And I definitely agree that doing this and having these like real-time honest conversations that we know really anybody can see and hear and listen into, definitely holds us accountable to the vision. But I do want to push back on something that really kind of inspired my want to have this talk, because either we are not doing what the podcast is supposed to do, or we need to rename the intention. And the reason I say that is because I think when we shot the very first episode, we were in the warehouse.
Yes.
And I think the thought was that it was going to have this feel of a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and like you were just saying, like seeing the process, like of the LED wall coming together, or choreography from start to finish and things like that. But what the podcast has been, and I think, we're coming up on like the 10th episode or something like that, or somewhere close.
Yeah.
But what it has been is more like nobody is really seeing that stuff come together. And the portion of it is, this is a one-shot thing, and very simple, and we wanted it to be so. But when we are actually busy doing the work, there is no camera, capturing that, or getting that, and we really haven't taken people on a deep dive behind the actual scenes. And I think we can do that, and we can use instances of that. But when I look at these conversations, and I've get to go back and kind of to listen to it, sounds more like what the shape is taking up is the process of running an organization, which I think is so cool. to see two young Black men, figuring this out and navigating, and how that grows, and sharing with people in real time what we're doing, how we're strategizing, how we're thinking.
Yeah.
I think, if I get a little personal, I think it's the process of developing like a partnership and brotherhood, and really, when I think about it, like how we rely on not just our talent and technique. It's about so much more than the quote unquote process of pulling a show together, but how we rely on faith and friends and community and each other, and real dialogue to one, be the best men that we can be, and in turn, I think it's more personal with us, but the reap of that, or the fruit of that, happens in all of the wonderful things that Revolution Dance Theater then becomes. But I think the process is, I feel like I am changing every day. And what is cool is, even watching from episode 1 to up to here, helps for me to kind of see how I am in process and growing as a new artistic leader, and growing as a teacher, and growing as an executive director, and sharing that every step of the way. But what do you think?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty accurate. And in other wording, well, yeah, it is really cool to see the progress of how the conversations develops, how the topics develop, kind of based off of what we're going through, and like what is going on, whether that be the next show or teaching classes. And yeah, it is kind of keeping track of the development, and keeping us on track as far as like helping with goals, like goal settings, intention, kind of like how you mentioned before.
Yeah.
It's all helpful to me in those areas, and it does. Yeah, it keeps a bookmark in there to be like, okay, this is where I am.
Yeah.
This is what this is what we're going through, have been through, and then this is the track to keep going there.
So a little business tidbit for anybody who wants to start, run, manage, do whatever, is you should always refer back to your mission and where you are investing your dollars and investing your time. And it was because of that I'm reevaluating a lot of things that we're doing and going, do we want to continue that? Do we want to cut back on this? Do we want to invest in that? Where are we best spending our resources? And when I came up to the process, and it was really looking at what is this doing to advance our mission, as a Revolution Dance Theater, which our revised, most up to date as of this taping is, to use the beauty of ballet and the power of storytelling to inspire equitable change in the world. And I had to think, like, where does this podcast fall into that, and how? But I think, one, the power of storytelling extends so far beyond the stage. And what I think our performances are able to do is demonstrate in a way that many people maybe have not imagined before, actually visualize some of the concepts and things that we're trying to communicate. But you know what? We said for the world. We didn't say just for Cincinnati. We didn't say, so there's a distribution, thing, which is why, it makes sense for us to have an online presence. I can get with that. Inspire equitable change. And when I look at this, what I would love to see happen is that some other younger, different, wherever you are, point in life, particularly men of color, see an example of what it can look like, when you do get a little bit of support, what it can look like when you decide to take what you have, buckle down, do some really hard work, use your gifts and talents in a positive way,
Mhm.
and do something. At the core, what people are seeing are two men who make an agreement to meet each other, meet up every day, and just like do something like with video, or do something with dance, or do something with our teaching, do something with our knowledge, do something with your painting ability, do something with design. And out of that has birthed all of these other things that come into the organization. And if we can use this to inspire more of that, then I think making the time commitment to, sit down and have these conversations, to edit these videos, to put them out, to upload them to different places. Man, if there's even one person who is like, man, I'm not sure if I can really make a difference with what I got. And it's like literally living proof right here that can happen.
Yeah, that's inspiring in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good about it.
Definitely. Because nowadays, I mean, these days, you don't really have to have a lot or a bunch of fancy. There's no extra fancy lights and tech, and it's a camera and it's having a conversation, and it's but using,
and then even in the classes that you see, I mean, we kind of talked about that today, about changing that thought process of, if I had this crew to work with, or if I had these dancers, or if I have access to these folks, I mean, what does that do to the people in the room? How disrespectful is it to the people that you do have, the resources that you do have, the support that you do have? And I love that. I think we even shared this on the earlier pod, this concept of all you have is all you need. And I struggle with that so much. Like, I need these dancers, I need this equipment, I need that. And it's like, when I walked into that studio in Northside and saw it in a different light one day. From, are we just renting a room in, an old like office building, or do I take where I am, what I have, the resources, the capital, the networking, the friendships, and start to aggregate and pull all that together to make it something bigger? And suddenly it's a whole organization. It's no longer just a room. It looks different, feels different. It has that sort of professionalism. But so much more than that, like, I just want to, again, like, use this as an opportunity. And we don't talk a lot outside of work, I think, because we work together so much that there's really not a need to. But if I haven't said it before or been clear, like, at least for me, it feels like this, one of the bigger benefits has been getting to do this, like, with you, and develop what that friendship looks like, and what that brotherhood looks like, and what that relationship looks like, to really have, like, not just somebody to help take the load off of the grunt work that we do, but at every step of the way, buying in and understanding, and not just buying into my vision, but bringing more of your vision. And there are ways in which you continue to challenge me, ways in which I want to be better, ways in which I'm like, I would do something a little more lazy sometimes, or like, there's times where, like, you're the one who want to go the extra hour, or like, I'm like, maybe we'll just wait to unload the truck tomorrow. And you're like, well, we're already here, why not just do it tonight? And I'm like, thank you for putting, or whatever that is. But I just value, which, if I could share a little bit for, in that spirit of transparency, and why that's so valuable, is like, I just never found that community, like, for myself before. Particularly whether it was, not having so many, guy friends in dance, or having friends, but only in a certain arena, never feeling like one could be like their full self, really. Or being self-conscious about either being a ballet dancer, our sexuality, our thoughts on, you got friends that understand and can rock with you on this, but then
Yeah.
like they don't really understand the faith component of like who you are, or why you work so much. And I think what's so cool about you is like you get to like there's no way you don't get all of like the many facets of like David. And you just keep showing up, and that's wild. But like helping to really say I'm going to partner with this dude and see beyond this thing and help build it has just been like such a gratifying, rewarding, and just experience that I hadn't had before. So I hadn't shared that on that level, and just wanted to use this as a time to share that with you.
For sure. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that a lot.
So don't leave, please.
But there's a lot of value. Yeah, there's a lot of value, and like what you have to offer and share, like that I know every one of us, like student or dancer, teacher, or could benefit from.
And I mean, I just think it's so cool to watch as you really help to create that. And what's nice is I say the same thing about you, like, which is why and I always like have to ask, like, are we overworking you, or because one thing about, again, going back to setting the intention, one thing we learned about us as an organization is we push you to your limit. Starting off the classes with acknowledging, like, I'm not at my limit yet, but I will be. Yeah. And that's my thing, is where I see in a person, like, you will not like me if I see value in you, because I'm going to push and push and push until like I can see, what we can get. And I've been so worried about you in particular, because you have so much in you. Like, there's the stuff that like you can just do art, draw, graffiti, video, dance amazingly. But then like there's all of those other skills that like, I don't know, I think are in there. But I don't know if there's fear or anything, but it's like that natural call to leadership, I think, is there. And I know I don't particularly like it myself, but but that leadership, that voice, that your values, what is important to you, how the respect of people, the respect of process, the respect of time. You have so much to give. And what my goal is that as RDT continues to grow, that it is not what I bring to it, but like you then as, a creative producer, what you're infusing into it. And if we can replicate that across, so our board is bringing themselves into it, our dancers are bringing all they have to it, our students are bringing all they have to it, that is going to be the key to replicating something that's going to inspire a community to accomplish this big vision of changing the world. So I say lean in and show us more of like who you are. Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
And that, and I think that part of it is faith. Part of it is some upbringing. With a little bit of school, just kind of a little bit of everything. People I've bumped into on my way through school, and certain teachers, and just certain situations. And I feel like it's a lot of factors. Like, I mean, definitely God being the biggest one factor.
What would you say? What would sum up everything we just discussed and say this podcast is about the process of
becoming who you're like destined to be, in a sense. Like it's an uncomfortable, it's always going to be growth and uncomfortability. It's going to be uncomfortable, and that's I've been in that spot for I feel like kind of too long because I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel comfortable in class. I want to feel comfortable teaching and doing projects, but like I haven't been in a comfortable position in a while. But I feel like that's what keeps me like pushing. It keeps me like moving like in a direction towards like to be better at something. And today that was like, you know, teaching and my approach when it comes to teaching and making sure they get the information. But as far as videography, like being pushed like by you and seeing like what's possible and what we do have. Yeah, and I feel like all it steps to becoming like the best version like of ourselves, the best version like of the company.
And I love that. And again, and if that's what that is, that's right in line with the mission, you know, helping people become that best version of themselves, pushing people to the next level. And I still kind of had that changing the world, like the process of changing the world. But I think recognizing that starts with changing yourself, you know, and I think that is all encompassing of everything that we had just said. The process of changing the world by changing yourself. And we can wordsmith that, workshop that, make it cuter. I don't know. One of my friends asked, like, what's the segments to your podcast? I'm like, we ain't got no segment. Ain't got no jingle, ain't got no sayings, ain't got, you know. But we do have some really good, you know, conversations and insights and, you know, stuff to share. So we'll continue to own in. As you can see in real time, we'll continue to lock in the who we are, what we are. But I do hope that if we don't do anything else, that this inspires you to run after your dreams. Because if you would have told me that just sticking with it, you know, what started as dance classes in my aunt's basement, you know, would inspire so much, I would have never believed that. And there are things and gifts and talents and callings that you have, and set your intention, see the thing that you want to do, but then also be willing to being called to something else. And often those are maybe things we don't see ourselves doing.
It's gonna be uncomfortable.
But yeah, I mean, I invite you to take the process and take the journey to become the best you as well.